Hey, you're watching Radio UTV. I am Jared. Leroy from War of Ages hanging out with me. So we talked about beards. You know, I love that, but we should probably talk about the album you just released. Kind of important, right?
A little bit.
And Supreme Chaos did quite well for you guys. People seem to really, really dig this album.
The response is overwhelming, to be honest. We really didn't know what to expect because we tried some new things on this one. We had a new guitarist who aided us in writing majorly on this record.
Okay.
So we had Steve, who's an amazing guitarist, who's written all of our albums, and then we had Jack. And usually I come in and so Steve will write a riff, I'll come in, kind of rearrange it, and then he'll give me more riffs and I'll rearrange the music. Well, this time I was like, I don't want this record to sound like a War of Ages album like we always write. I want it to sound War of Ages, so we got Steve in there.
Right.
But then Jack came in who plays for a band called Hope for the Dying.
Okay.
Who's also on our label, but they're not active, so we brought in Jack, and then both of them wrote together. And it's a very metal album, but not something that I would typically where I would influence.
Sure.
I just influence lyrically, which is what I'm actually like to do and what I'm good at is that songwriting in. So I helped a little bit with arrangement, but they wrote every single lick on that album.
That's awesome.
And we loved it.
Man, I think it's a fantastic album, and I think you're right. There's it's obviously a War of Ages album, but there's some different parts to it. Mm-hmm. Some of it seems more accessible, but I don't that doesn't mean to sound like, oh, it's not heavy, because it is super heavy and it's really good. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like having someone else take care of most of the writing, outside of lyrics, allowed you to concentrate more on the lyrics, maybe
Absolutely.
put more time and effort into that?
The one thing about writing an album is it gets really stressful because we have one guitarist on other albums. We had one guitarist writing all the licks, everything,
right,
and all the riffing and whatnot. And then there was me doing arrangement, and it was like, okay, after the arrangement's done, now I have to actually work on the lyrical end of things. So having multiple people work on different angles and different aspects of the album was amazing.
Yeah.
It was a breath of fresh air. Our guitarist Steve, actually, after we wrote this album, he looks at Jack, goes, "So we ready to start the next record?" That is not Steve. Steve is after he writes an album, he just sits on the couch and just stares into oblivion.
Right. You're dead. You're spent.
Yeah, and I say, "So man, we need to start thinking about the next record and what the angle." And he just looks at me like,
"I will break you. Don't talk to me about writing more."
Yep. So
that's cool. So let's talk about the new video then. Again, you guys, a couple of videos ago, I think it was the video for Collapse, there was lots of flour everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Some very dirty. This one, kind of the opposite approach. Everything seems to get wet. Lots of water everywhere.
Lots of water.
Do you guys just have a thing for destroying your instruments, or how does that work?
I think so, actually. There's our bass. Not that day of the water, the day of all the water trickling on it, but the next day we put the strings back on it after wiping it down and everything, put the strings back on, and all of a sudden it pop, just the neck explodes from the water. And we just looked at each other like, okay, I wonder what's going to happen. Jack actually just got endorsed by Carving Guitars.
Okay.
So in the video, he's using one of his new guitars. He is so bummed. You don't see it on his face. He's rocking out trying to be all like, oh, good,
right,
I got this. But every take, he's like,
oh, my guitar. So did anything happen to his stuff?
No, actually, we thought it was going to be rough, but not really, no. Nobody's stuff broke except for that bass.
Man.
Luckily.
It's a fantastic video. I love it. So great album. You should pick it up. Shop page, RadioU.tv. Great video as well. Look for that here on Radio UTV. Leroy, thanks for taking a couple minutes to chat with me, man.
No
Good
problem.
times. It's Radio UTV.